In this episode, we redefine mother and what it means to birth yourself. We're not talking about the physicality of motherhood. We're not talking about mother even inside of the gender binary. We're talking about reparenting yourself, birthing yourself, finding your creative center, and holding yourself in tenderness, esteem, and care. Welcome to the Plumb Podcast. This is a podcast for possibility. I'm Rosalee.
And I'm Sarah.
And we are the Plumb Collective.
The starting point for this episode is a Plumb Point intuitive photo reading that Rosalee did for Holley. You met Holley's energy in season 2, episode 1 of the Plumb Podcast, where we shared the pre-reading that Rosalee did before recording Holley's reading.
In the last episode, I was dancing with Holley's energy. There was a lot I didn't know. There was a lot of wondering or feeling like things were obvious or could be, but I didn't know for sure. I was dancing with Holley's energy for a whole week. I was getting comfortable in the unknown. And at a certain point, I just felt I would know, and then I would be able to deliver Holley's reading. In this episode, you will hear my clarity. You will feel how sure I am of what I'm speaking. There's a real difference in the feeling of this episode and last episode, but they build on each other. This is a really cool story. And in the next episode, you get to meet Holley when we have a one-on-one conversation. You get to meet her and see her and hear the sound of her voice.
The recording that you're about to hear is the audio file of Holley's Plumb Point intuitive photo reading, which is the heart of a photo reading. The photo reading process involves Rosalee sitting with the photo in the silence, feeling the sensations, feeling the feelings, and then putting it into words in a message for the client.
It's just me and your current energy photo. I click the file, I open it, and I instantly feel, sense, know, hear. It's a full sensory experience the moment I look at your photo. I would say approximately 5 to 15 minutes. I'm looking at your photo and I'm writing notes in my notebook. And then I just speak from my heart, from my soul, from the feelings, from the sensations, from your energy.
Why were you dancing with Holley's energy for a week?
Before I even looked at her photo. I mean, in Plumb Practice, I said what I was feeling it was going to be and everything before even looking at her. So
that's interesting. So then do you feel like you know why you ultimately waited?
Because it was for me. I waited for me. It was because I knew that I was looking at the same thing from 3 different angles. And that's something that has never happened to me before. So I knew that I needed to spend time with the 3 different angles and understand what I was experiencing. And because I've spent so much time in my own energy and a lot of time in Sarah's energy, those 2 angles were what I was dancing with before I even looked at Holley's photo. I just knew what she was showing me before I brought in her specific point of view. When I looked at Holley's photo, I knew everything from her angle in that instant, but I was feeling it. It's complicated to describe, but that really is what it was like for me. I knew that it was so similar to things I had felt for myself and things that I had felt for Sarah, but that I was getting a new angle, a new key component to something that felt like it was going to unlock everything for me. I didn't want to rush it. I really enjoyed the experience of not knowing. It felt like it was important for me to model for Sarah and for Holley and for everyone. I didn't know at the time that we would be sharing this publicly, but I felt like it just was important to take the time that it felt like it needed for me to be in the unknown and be dancing in the unknown, not to feel like I was stumbling around or I didn't know. I really do feel like I could have given Holley a reading before ever seeing her photo. It was so clear to me what this was about, that it was about creativity and connection to self and birthing yourself. I knew mother would be redefined. All of the things that are really central to Holley's reading, I knew and was talking about before ever laying eyes on Holley. That is unique. That is something that I knew that Holley was here for me. And so the majority of the week was spent with that perspective. And then I really focused in on Holley specifically for the reading that you're about to hear.
I didn't really realize that it was that way exactly. I'm glad to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of moving parts going on. I haven't put it into words before. And I think that's a big part of what this whole experience is for me and why I wanted to share it is that that's what it's like. I think people think maybe that it's known or unknown, and I have all these signals and I know exactly what they mean. Yeah, I do. And sometimes there's a new signal or a new sensation, or I'm looking at the same thing, but from a different angle. Well, that is interesting to me. And that is the best way I can put it into words. But even that is not exactly it. I feel like the more I share and talk about it, the more clear it becomes to everybody what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I'm just getting more of a sense of what you mean when you say it was for you. Especially in the last episode, the way that we were talking about the live photo reading and how that didn't go the way that you wanted it to go, and that this experience is providing that for you. I did know that it was also the concepts that were coming up for Holley. I knew that, but just hearing us talk about it in this way right now is giving it a new angle for me. You often say that every reading that you do has something in it for you, or that you learn something about yourself, that there's a message in every reading for you. And it is a really key piece of this for you. It feels to me in listening to you that that's part of what makes the work sustainable for you, because you're giving to someone else, but you are also receiving, and you make that possible.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. It really is an intentional choice that I made at the beginning. If I'm feeling something for you through my sensations in my body, there's probably something that connects us. There's probably something that's in that for me as well that just made logical sense to me. So then I'm looking for it. I'm open to it. Our energies are together. You're talking to me, you're telling me things, and often it's acknowledgement. When your energy tells me something, I'm like, oh yeah, I do that too, or I know that too, or that makes sense to me because of this.
Yeah.
Ooh, it makes me emotional, but it really is a conversation that our energies are having, or our inner children are having with each other. There's often in readings, I will feel someone who is an adult person. I will feel their 6-year-old self, and I meet them with my 6-year-old self, and we clear energy together in a way that is so beautiful and powerful. And then I get to put that into words for you, and I get to say it to you, and you get to feel it.
You're such a expansive person. Like, you just are. And I think anyone who sees you on TikTok feels that as well. And that's why people are drawn to you. There's a depth to you and to your experience that when you're in conversation with someone like this, you and I talking, that you're drawing from that depth. You're going into your well to converse with me. And that happens when you're doing a reading and you're conversing with another person's energy. You're also reaching into your well, giving and receiving.
That's exactly what it feels like to me. When I'm saying I trust myself, I trust the depth of what I feel, because I allow myself to feel whatever it is that I feel. I don't shy away from it or push it away or swallow it down. I experience it. When I'm feeling something in someone's energy, I'm curious. I'm fascinated by people. I want to know. I allow myself to experience what they're showing me, and then I speak from that perspective.
And it's so cool and interesting and beautiful and wonderful. And I don't think enough people know about how absolutely incredible this experience is. To have you converse with someone else's energy is wild and incredible. And more people need to know about it. The recording we're about to play for you is the audio file of Holley's reading. There is a lot of magic in this reading. If you listen to it for yourself, you will get something out of it for yourself. It is a message to Holley, but it's also a message to all of us. In the last episode, you met Holley's energy. Here, you get to hear the reading that Rosalee delivered to Holley. The clarity, the certainty, the assuredness that comes through this reading, and the depth from which Rosalee is drawing this message. You'll feel that as you listen. And then in the next episode, you'll get to meet Holley and watch and listen to Rosalee and Holley have a one-on-one conversation. And you'll get to hear Holley's perspective and her experience with the Plumb Point intuitive photo reading and what it meant to her and how it feels to be with Rosalee's energy. This is great storytelling. Listen to these 3 episodes as a story that's unfolding. It's a story that is about someone else's energy, but it's also about you. So you can listen to it that way too. In every Plumb practice session, we talk about how there are different levels of listening. You can listen as an observer, and there's also the opportunity to listen more deeply as a witness. And if you listen as a witness, listen for yourself. Notice what you sense and what you feel as you hear Rosalee's words. Follow your imagination if it comes in. If there are memories that pop up, don't swat them away. Allow them to come up and see what's there. Notice any sensations or thoughts or feelings that come up as you listen to this reading.
Hi, Holley. It's Rosalee. Thank you so much for this opportunity to be with you and your energy and read your photos. I am so excited to deliver this message to you. I also want you to know that this is a very special, unique reading for me personally. All of my photo readings are unique experiences. I never know what's going to come forward or how it's going to go. But this experience has been so exciting. I am going to share with you a second audio file included in your reading that is me talking to my business partner and best friend, Sarah, who is a part of the Plumb Practice membership. Thank you so much for joining the membership. I'm so excited to have you with us. Sarah is the person that I'm speaking to. I was sending her messages while she was working on something else. I am working on your reading. And I just kept feeling the connections between you and Sarah. When I first saw your photo, I had immediately was like, you look familiar to me. And I couldn't tell if it's because there's this familiar, you like feel really familiar. Well, there's similarities between you and my best friend. So I'm like, is that the familiarity? The feelings in the energy and in the messages felt so connected that I was sharing things with her that felt like I was working them out for myself. This was all previous to me reading your question or your additional information. When I do a photo reading, I like the experience of not knowing what your question is or any additional information. I like looking at your current energy photo and feeling whatever comes from that first, and then checking back in and seeing if I covered it or if I need to ask more questions to your photo or look for more things. But in this experience, it's been wild and cool. Every week we have the submissions that come in on Sunday, and before, I don't look at them at all. Don't look at anybody's photos, don't know anything about anybody, but I just check in with the energy. It's just something fun that I do for myself, for my own experience. So on Sunday, I checked in with the energy of the people. Your energy came to the top and was very prominent. I immediately felt the word maternal. I felt that your reading was going to be for me and for Sarah in some way, that it was going to mean something to us. The direction we're taking Plumb, it felt expansive. Your energy felt expansive to me before I even saw your photo. Then when I saw your photo, I was like, oh, you feel familiar, and maybe it's because I feel this connection to your energy and Sarah's energy. I'm just not sure. And then I didn't read your photos until now. I have been allowing myself to dance with your energy for the week. And then I just knew at a certain point that it would feel like time to actually be with your photo and my notebook and write down everything that I was feeling and then deliver this message to you. But I waited to record this part of your reading because I just wanted to be with the dance, with the unknown. I'm including the audio clips of me working it out or feeling it out and talking to Sarah. I hope that you feel the combined holding and knowing that your energy and your privacy is of utmost importance to me. So it's not like me sharing with Sarah anything that would be too much for her to know. It just felt like the three of us were dancing together in this liminal space. And it felt important for her to know, and it feels important for you to know. And it feels important for me to say it so that I can listen to this recording and know something. There's a lot going on for me personally. I feel so grateful and thankful that you connected to me, that you felt the nudge and you followed it, that you knew that there was something here for you, but I wonder if you also knew that there was something here for me. And so I just want to thank you so deeply from my being. So thankful for you. I think it's exciting that I was in this dance with you during the week and then you joined the membership, the Plumb Practice session that you will receive in your inbox this week. I'm talking about you in the session. I wrote about you in my Plumb Practice writing. I mean, it was about the feelings that I was having about this maternal sensation, that it was about redefining the word maternal and about birthing yourself. I knew it before I knew, and so you're this is a special occurrence because you're getting to hear this conversation that I'm having with Sarah, and then it's in Plumb Practice. I will remember you always. This is special to me. I can't really say that any of this work is, traditional or usual or regular or normal or whatever, but there's a flow that happens for me and it's expected. What my part is, it stays fairly regular, and then I'm reading the energy that's there and I'm delivering it in a similar fashion. This feels like you used a phrase in the additional information, now I can't remember it, but blown out of the water, or blown apart, or but not in a way that's devastation or grief or heartache or loss, but in a way that's blown open, an openness because of expansion, of experiencing full potential, not in a way of striving or I haven't reached my full potential and I'm judging myself, but in a way of I know that I'm made for more and that I've done what I can up to this point on my own. I need support. I need to be held in maternal care by other energies so that I can achieve what I know is inside of me, that I can reach the levels that I know I am capable of. I need support. I need tenderness. I need affection. I need people to see me and support me energetically and maybe also in assistive ways. This was a one-person show for a long time. I would be reading people completely on my own, no support. And I knew that I needed to have these little things, to not see the photos until I'm ready to see the photos. Well, if I'm doing everything on my own, I have to see them before I actually really want to. because I have to make sure that they're there. I have to check that, you know, like some people will send a photo and the top of their head is cut off, or that there's like a lot of distracting items in the background, or things that would make it hard for me to read the energy. Sarah is looking for that, but she is not reading the energy of the person. She's not receiving the kind of information that I am. So it's like, for her, it's just like, well, I don't know, like I'm not seeing anything. I'm just looking, okay, there's a person and there's a picture in the photo behind them on the wall. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to, you know, send them a message and have them resubmit a photo. She is now taking care of those things for me in this very supportive way, so that I am able to fully reach my potential and have this experience. I'm so excited. I feel like I have glitter in my veins and I'm dancing in this liminal space with you and Sarah. I'm having a great time. I just wanted to share with you that there is someone else with us, that someone else is Sarah. She is in the videos that are in the Plumb Practice portal. She is trustworthy. She is maternal in the way that I am suggesting we redefine it. She is also a part of your reading in a way that hasn't occurred before, that I think is really special, and I just want you to know about it. Let's get into your reading. You will find in the PDF there is a photo of my notebook page, and I have written something on every single line. The first word that I wrote down was maternal, and I just want to be very clear that every single thing that was written on this notebook page was written before I read your question or your additional information. This was all just based off of your current energy photo and your first name. That is it. So to have this experience feels really exciting. And so the additional audio file, I recorded that before I'm recording this. So I don't know if I will be repeating some of the things that I've already said in there. I'm not concerned about that. But for you to know that recording that's like the pre-reading was recorded before I'm doing this, but you might end up listening to it after you listen to this. There's part of this that I describe in that recording. To move forward, to go forward, we need to look back in this loop that's new, that's like a new way of seeing something, that also feels very connected to the diner, which is something that I said early in the week, that I'm like, something about this reading is going to help me be able to talk about the diner in a different way, or like I'm going to see something about that. And I, at this moment, don't know what that is. And I think when I listen to myself, when I participate, when I do the diner on this reading, and I like listen to the recordings and witness myself saying the things that I'm saying, I think I'll know something, but I don't currently know it. But I have that inkling. This is, I mean, the disclaimer is this is all weird. This is all energetics. I believe in it. I think it will be meaningful to you. And it's strange. I'm looking at a photo of you and I'm feeling all of these things. I didn't know that you were an actor, and I didn't know that you didn't have children. But that felt true to me, and you will hear me say it and dance around it and feel like, okay, this would be it would be obvious, like the energy that I'm feeling, it would be obvious if you were an actor. That would make sense. What I'm feeling, that seems obvious. And then there's this other part that feels energetic. The likelihood of you actually being an actor, I wasn't sure. It felt like it could just be that you have these different roles that you take on in your life, different characters that you play in your life. It's so exciting and interesting. I really appreciate you providing that additional information, and I'm so glad I didn't read it until after I completed your reading as far as looking at your photos. So, okay, the first word that I felt, the knowing that I had, was that we would be redefining the word maternal. Because I think as a society, we've defined maternal as sacrificial, martyr, overextending, giving kindness, forgiving. There's things about how we as a society have defined maternal that are just not true. Redefining maternal and redefining mother specifically. And then I did, try or like looked towards, is there information about your actual mother that was trying to come forward? And it was a swatting hand motion of like, no, not interested, not it, you don't even have to look over there. Like, not the move. That to me means that there probably is a bunch of stuff to look at or stuff to know, but that for you also, like, okay, you're going to hear this in the pre-reading audio, but it's like, I am saying this, that the three of us don't actually need to look at our mothers. And then I start laughing because I'm like, okay, well, that's actually what I'm doing on TikTok, or that's what it seems like I'm doing. I'm focusing on my mother when I'm saying that that's not what I'm doing, but it's like, sure, we can look at our mothers as an example or as what our definition of mother has been, an acknowledgement or whatever, but we don't actually have to have them be the source of our energy or the source of our focus, or where we're caring about their feelings or their experiences or their trauma or any of that. It's like, no, that's not what we're doing right now. We're doing something else, and redefining mother for ourselves in this way that you can birth yourself. And when I wrote birth yourself, I wrote it left to right, and then I traced over yourself, but I went right to left. So it was like I went forward and then I went backward. And so there's part of that where it's like starting at the beginning, envisioning your essence, your energy, your soul, your core, your creative center as a baby, as like a literal baby that you are giving birth to. The fact that your marble rolled to your cervix in the mirror, literal mind blown emojis. When I read that, I had chills. I was like, well, of fucking course. Like that actually was my reaction. Well, of fucking course. Of course it did, because your energy is telling you, your energy is also telling me that that's where we're starting. That's the starting point. But not in the way of having earthly human children. In the way of birthing yourself. Oh my God, I have chills. I'm so excited for you. And I'm excited for me because it feels like just a turn of the head. When a dog hears a high-pitched noise and they turn their head and their ears kind of perk up and they're like, what? That is what my intention for this reading is. To get your attention, to turn your head, to have your ears perk up and hear me differently. Hear something new for yourself, because you fucking have it. You have the it factor. I knew you were special. I knew you were playing characters and roles. You have you have creative energy. And I think you've been in this societal maternal role of like sacrificing yourself and feeling depleted. Grief makes sense to me. The word I would use for that feeling for myself is devastation. And Sarah is on her own exploration for what the word is for her. But it's like that, whatever, all of those feelings, all of that encompasses what your sensation of grief is, to me, is a depletion that has occurred because of this sacrificial feeling, this external environment, like looking out towards the environment to all these different characters. That might literally be the different roles that you've played as an actor, but also the different characters in your life. So it might be your actual mother, but it's like people around you. And when I look for, or like try to get more specific than that, I get the swatting motion of like, no. Like focus on yourself, your creative center, the seat of your soul in your body. I mean, to me, it feels like under your rib cage, in your diaphragm, center point of your body is like where I think there is, like how and when will I get there? But where I think you currently are is your cervix. Energetically, that's the starting point. And there's a phrase that I have said for years now that I still am getting the understanding of what it means, but it's like, show me where you are, is something that I feel like we can say to our energy, like, show me where you are. And that's why the mirror is so powerful, because it's a way to show yourself where you are. So where you currently are is at your cervix, at that place to birth yourself. Where I feel like there ultimately is that center point in your physical body that feels around your diaphragm area, your creative center, the seat of your soul, where your soul is seated, where your essence resides. It feels like you are birthing that into yourself. You're moving through something that might be painful, that might feel hard and grief and like all of these emotions. It makes so much sense to me because you're expanding, you're birthing. There is pain and experiences physically, emotionally, energetically, hormonally that coincide with this expansion, with this change, with this shift. So it's like literally redefining mother and maternal has been bold, and maternal basically in the dictionary goes to mother. So like for me, my signal when a word is bold is to look it up in the dictionary. You'll see on my notebook page that a lot of it is definitions because I'm redefining mother. So the most obvious definition is a woman, okay? But a woman of authority. I'm non-binary, but that feeling of a person, a woman, a person of authority. What's authority? Not right and wrong, moral standings, but authority of power to influence or command thought, opinion, or behavior. Being the person that you have the power to influence or command thought, opinion, or behavior for yourself. Part of what you said in the additional information about things feeling out of your control makes so much sense to me. It's like control, yeah, it feels like out of your control when you don't know that everything is in your command. You actually have the authority, you have the power to influence your own thought, your own opinion, and your own behavior. That's the ultimate freedom. And it's your right. The source from which the citation is drawn. Well, how do we know? Because you said it, because you thought it, because it's your opinion, it's your behavior. Conclusive statements is also a part of authority. So like being sure of yourself. An individual cited as an expert. Like you have the ability to know yourself better and more complete than anyone. You actually are an individual cited as an expert on Holley. You taking ownership of that role, of that position, of being mother to yourself. And not in the ways that we have been mothered by our mother or other people, but in this new way, in this authority way, in this source way, in the starter, like the beginning. Source was huge. A generative force, the beginning, the cause, the point of origin. Author felt bold to me. I'm so fucking pumped that you are a member. Plumb Practice is so beneficial in getting the words out, witnessing them, being the author of your own story. Source also means one that initiates, one that supplies the information. You actually have all the information. Where am I getting it from? Your energy is talking to me. It's such a powerful experience for me, and I also hope for you. Source is one that initiates, one that supplies information. Fountainhead. I've had this predictive feeling that this reading would connect to the diner. The fact that Fountainhead is a definition of source was a connection for me. Inside of the online course called The Diner, there's a sensuization we call the fountain of feelings. Fountainhead, the origin of the stream of water. It's so connected to the sensuization that is feeling your feelings and experiencing them as a fountain. This is a little early in the reading, but one of my recommendations that if it's available to you at some point, taking Plumb Practice even deeper, entering the diner for yourself, I really think will be so beneficial to you. It's something that I experience at the same time. I do Plumb Practice once a week, which is what you see in the portal. And then I also participate with the diner every single day because I record myself and I witness myself. I use the process of the diner literally every single day in my life, and it has made the biggest difference. It's how I'm able to share online, and how I feel so confident about your reading is because of my participation in the diner. I can't recommend it enough. If it's available for you to participate in both, I think it's really great. The diner is self-led. So like with Plumb Practice, we email you once a week. You get like a little reminder. There's a little bit more contact that way. And then you're also connected to Sarah and I and our sharing from our personal life. The diner really is instructional and it's a game. We're not sharing personal things. We're sharing and instructing the how-to. It takes the experience of Plumb Practice to this deeper level. When you're ready, when it feels like time for you, entering the diner feels like an obvious choice. I don't know that it's right now, but if you feel inspired and excited, it can be whenever you want. But it's just something that feels important for me to share with you, that I just felt like this reading was going to give me clarity about the diner, and I just keep getting these little connections that are exciting to me. So Fountainhead made me very excited to see. Another definition of source is origin, point at which something begins, arises from which it derives. Something that creates, causes, gives rise to another. Before I knew that you were an actor, take on different roles or you play different characters. So to me, it feels like, yeah, obvious in your professional life, but it feels like in your personal life or how you are in relationship, it might be looking out towards the environment, out towards the other people and seeing what they need or how you should be or like how you should act. In your personal life, coming from the direction externally instead of it being an internal, like where you're the source of it, where it derives from you, where you're creating how you feel from your creative center. And that when you do that, that gives rise to another. That helps to expand other people. I feel like I am modeling that for you. I believe myself. I know myself. I connect to myself. I ask myself the questions. How do you feel and what do you want? And I ask those questions moment to moment because every moment there's going to maybe be a different answer to that. And so I'm checking in with myself. And the feeling that I've had about that is this phrase, show me where you are. If I don't know how I feel, and I don't know what I want, but I'm feeling anxious. Like there's this low hum of anxiety that I feel in your energy, where I think that's part of that grief and the depletion feeling. There's this hum of anxiety that's there, present all of the time. If we go a little deeper than that, or we ask the question, like, how do I feel? It's like, well, the environment is causing that anxiety. I am looking at everybody else, at their reactions, at the other people, and I'm taking direction from that. And that's what's having me feel these feelings of grief and anxiety. But if I actually ask myself and I say, show me where you are. Where are you right now? How are you feeling? And it would be like, I'm actually angry, or I'm excited, or there's anticipation, or I'm disappointed, or it's like you would be able to define it or narrow in on something that's specific to you and not this environmental anxiety or situational anxiety from the outside reflecting in. It's like, no, you're the source. So show me where you are. How do I feel? What do I want? And it's the intersection of those 2 points that is the source of all the different reflections. It's the home base. So it's like if you are playing a role in your personal life or professional life, and you take on the characteristics that are this character without a sense of self, without knowing who you are, you might get confused and feel like things are out of your control. Before I do a photo reading, I check my intersection. I show myself where I am so that I know what's my energy and what's yours. And then this particular special experience is I know what's yours and I know what's Sarah's. Like, I know that there's 3 of us kind of in a dance here. So I'm very clear what's Sarah's. I'm very clear what's mine. And then what's left is like this new energy that I'm not as familiar with, which is yours, that I can go, okay, there's similarities here, there's similarities here, but I know what's mine for sure. And it's like, that feels important for me to say to you, that it's like, do you have a clear idea of your home base, of your creative center, of the seat of your soul, of the source, of all the different reflections? You are very capable. You have the ability to emote. The fact that you use the word sensitive, totally. I completely feel that in your energy. But it's like, you can mold yourself. There's a chameleon quality where it's like, once you know what the role is, you can fit it. But can you fit what yours is without the contrast of the other people? It's okay to use it as contrast, but I think you've been using it as competition, as comparison, and then feeling like you're not measuring up, when that's the opposite of what actually is. You have it. You're so brilliant, like bright, shining light. And then you reflect a small fraction of that light into each of these characters. But you're under the impression, this is a bold thing to say, but I'm here to say the bold things. You're under the impression that the characters, the external, the environment, is what's creating the light, the brilliance. But it's like, oh, no. That's a fraction of what you actually hold, but you're not seeing it. And it feels connected to your actual mother, but I'm getting the swatting motion of like, no, we're not going there. Okay, so I'm just telling you that it feels like maybe what she said and did has you seeing yourself in this like inverse opposite something. Okay, if societally we have defined maternal as this sacrificial sensation, the new definition, the redefining, feels like maternal is tenderness and affection for yourself. The phrase self-esteem is something that I literally said this morning to Sarah. That's why it's like we're in the dance together. That is what I'm referring to, but as a society, we have ruined that word. So now we think that means like you have to feel good about yourself all the time, or that like that's what it is. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about esteem for yourself? Do you value yourself? Do you see yourself with esteem? Do you hold affection and attention for yourself with tenderness? So it's like tenderness and affection and esteem is the starting point. So if you're taking on a role, before you practice being someone else, it's showing yourself where you are. How do I feel? What do I want? Being honest with those answers. And then holding all of that with tenderness, affection, and esteem. And then performing from there. So the entire time before I knew that you were an actor, I kept having these memories, specific memories from my life of casting calls. I was on the other side. I was sitting at the table, judging. With love and kindness and everything. But the discernment, I was using my discernment. All these people would show up for fashion shows. That was what we were casting for. I would see people come through. We were casting for fashion shows that I was like working for people, whatever. And then I was also doing my own personal casting of whomst of these people do I want to do creative photo shoots with. During these experiences, there would be people that their energy, of course, I was reading everybody's energy. The physicality, yes, was important, but it was more about how their energy felt to me and how they felt about themselves. So this memory just kept coming up. I wrote it off to the side because part of the definition for starter is official signal to begin the race, one that engages in competition, starting lineup. And I had been having these memories of these casting calls from my life during your reading, and I just kept going like, okay, well, it would be obvious then if you were an actor but I just kind of kept brushing it off because I'm like, yeah, but there's something deeper than that. That's on the surface. That's maybe the example that I could use or something that would make sense to you in your life, but it's more than that. There's layers of it and it goes deeper than that. It's at an energetic plane is what I'm actually feeling. When I read starting lineup and one that engages in competition and just the feeling of the energy of the people that would show up for these casting calls, a lot of them would have this energy of competition. They would be looking around at the other girls and thinking like, well, I'm too short or I'm too fat or I'm too this, I'm too that. And I could feel all of that. I could pick all of that up. And those were the people that were not chosen for the roles. Those were not the people that I wanted to do these creative photo shoots with. The people that stood out to me were the people that, in this context, I would give the language, they were mothering themselves. They had esteem and tenderness and attention and affection for themselves. They were full of themselves in this way that they knew that they had it and that they could do whatever it is that I was asking. That they could morph into whatever creative concept I had, but that they themselves knew that they were playing a role, but that there was a solidness of self, that they had esteem for themselves. Those people always were chosen as the people because they chose themselves first before they entered the call, before they got to the casting. They knew that they had it. They saw themselves. And then it was just like, they just needed to be in front of me so that I could see them too. They weren't looking for me to see them and give them the esteem, or that me choosing them meant that they were worth it. They already knew they were worth it. That level of assuredness is possible for you because you actually do have it. It's just you've been looking in the wrong direction. So it's like looking internally, looking at yourself and looking so deeply internal. This is weird, but I'm going to say it anyway because I think it gives a perfect visual. You've been looking out for direction at maybe a literal director looking to the audience. But when your marble rolled to your cervix, where I'm saying that I have this feeling of you birthing yourself, it's like, okay, what if instead of looking out to the audience, looking at the director, looking out there, you literally looked down at your body and looked into your cervix, and that creates a loop where it's like, okay, you go inside and then you come out, you birth yourself as mother, the source. I'm queer, so mother has a different feeling to it. The mother of the sourdough kombucha, like the source, the starter, the beginning. Also, the definition of mother, which made me laugh and feels like it is connected to you in a way that the definition Merriam-Webster says, sometimes vulgar, short for motherfucker. And I just think that's funny. I included it because it made me giggle. Something that is an ultimate example of its kind. I believe you are it. And you are an ultimate example of it. But I don't think you know that or believe that or have thoughts that support that. I don't believe your behavior currently is in line with that. So it's like, well, how? Birthing yourself. Well, how do you do that? You get to know yourself. You look internally. So the fact that you're already a Plumb Practice member, I'm so freaking excited. I'm so excited that the newest session is going to have this connection to you as well. It just feels special. I could tell you that you're special, but I'm literally showing you you're special. Like, you can choose to believe it or not. You're the person at the start of the race. You're the person that says, okay, we're beginning. I'm the starter. I'm the person who initiates. I'm the official signal to begin the race. The rat race that you've been in, that's over. Today's a new day. You literally could choose to view this reading as a line in the sand, as a marker of time, as a new starting point, that you're it. You don't have to engage in competition or comparison, but that you can use the differences that you see in yourself from or about other people as a way of contrast, as something to see, oh, that's them, this is me. This is me, that's them. It gives you clarity, but it's not about trying to be in any type of competition with anybody else, because you're just not. That kind of energy is felt in casting calls by the people behind the table, because I was the people behind the table. If you just believe that you are so brilliant and that your brilliance, that you'll put a fraction of that into whatever role is being asked of you, you can cast your brilliance into the net of that character, and it can hold it for the period of time that you're playing that role, but that you will restore your energy back to yourself, to the source, always. You will find balance within yourself by connecting to yourself. That loop of looking down into your cervix and coming out from it. I don't know for sure what the connotations to this image are, but the image of a snake swallowing its tail, that sort of cyclical loop, no beginning, no end, the chicken and the egg. If you're birthing yourself, who's the mother and who's the baby? Well, you're both. And so I wrote something that feels strange, and I don't exactly completely have this, but when I looked at your baby photos, I know that they're your baby photos. But looking at them, they feel like they're your children. And they feel like two different children. I wrote down, you are your children are your mother. You are your children are your mother. The redefined word of mother, tenderness, affection, and esteem for yourself. Your inner children are guiding your motherhood. Your children are your mother. Your children are going to share with you what they need to be mothered. And then you are your children. You as an adult are all of your inner children. And the hope or the maybe desire, like you said, you didn't really want children, but I think that there, for sure is societal pressure and age and, it's just, like, again, the swatting motion of like, yeah, we know all that and we don't need to like really discuss it. It's like, ugh. And that it's like, you are your children. You didn't miss out on something. You are your children. And I just think it's wild because I'm looking at it now knowing that you said in your additional information that you don't have children, but it's like I wrote, I don't think there's human children, but there are characters, in quotations, that feel like different people, children, different lives, ? So it's like, it's not traditional. Like I said, like this reading is not traditional. It's not you birthing human children that you will take care of and you will sacrifice for and you'll do all these things and you will be this great mother figure. That's not it. That's not it. You are your children. The pride you would have for these children, the goals, the dreams, the wishes, the societal status, the feelings. You are your children. And your children are your mother. They are guiding you. Your inner children are going to guide you to what they need to feel tenderness and affection and esteem. And how you'll hear it, I think, is listening to this recording as many times as you want, because there's fucking magic here. And getting the words out in Plumb Practice, witnessing yourself. And then if you want to really understand witnessing on a deeper level, the Diner has the how-to guide of that. Watching recordings of yourself during different performances. I'm going to say a bold thing, but I think that during some of the performances you've had, you have felt like you're looking for the audience. You're looking for other people. You're not sure that you're doing a good job until you compare the reactions in the environment. Like if you get a standing ovation, you know that you did a good job and you can feel like proud about it. Okay, sure, but that's hollow. That would lead to the feelings of grief and depletion and that something's missing, that you should have had children, or that you didn't do this, or you didn't do that, or this didn't turn out the way you wanted, or whatever. It's like, because that's all external environmental things, not looking there to get the source of your esteem for yourself. If you believe you did it full on, that you felt the feelings, that you emoted, that you expressed yourself, the self-expression that you experience acting, I think, is a really interesting framework. And then the self-expression that will come out of your participation in Plumb Practice feels like yours. The energetics, the connection to all your inner children, all the ages you ever were. Oh, it's so important. I'm so excited. I'm so proud of you that you felt whatever you felt. Oh, it makes me cry. That you felt whatever you felt, whatever you heard, whatever you saw. I would be so curious to know why you chose to have this reading, how you found me, how you connected to me, what you felt. Because whatever you felt, you followed that, Holley. You followed it. You didn't let it float away. You knew that it was important and you anchored yourself. I'm so proud of you and I'm so thankful to be connected to you. Okay, so I'm going back to my notebook. Starter, definition, a person who initiates, official signal to begin the race. One that engages in competition, starting lineup. One that causes something to begin. Appetizer. Okay. So appetizer is a starter. Appetizer also feels like very connected to the Diner, of course. I mean, I don't know how much you know about me and my personal life and my story, but when I was like 6 months old, my parents moved to this really strange building that was a house that also had a diner attached to it that was called Rosalee's Diner. I did a whole rebrand when I was like 8 years old, 7, 8, somewhere in there, where it was like I was the creative director, picked out the countertops, picked design choices for the uniforms. I directed the whole thing and I renamed the business. So it became the diner. So the diner that I grew up in is connected to the online course, The Diner, but not in very obvious ways, in very magical ways. I don't even know how to describe it because it's all important, but one part of the diner is a sensualization that is so powerful for manifestation, for connecting with yourself, for anticipating that you will receive the things that you order. So this feeling of appetizer, similar to the Fountainhead feeling, there's a connection to the diner that just feels so exciting. An appetizer starts the meal. It sets the tone. You're the starter. You create the palate, the taste that is what the meal ends up being, the direction that it goes. I already said this, but it feels worth repeating. I know those are your baby photos, but they feel like your children. You are your children. Your children are your mother. That feels like that loop, that like the snake swallowing itself, the chicken and the egg. You are your children are your mother. Where is the beginning? Where is the end of that? You get to choose. You're holding the baby, but you're also the baby. What does the baby need? Well, how would you know if you don't ask the baby? How do you feel? What do you want? Moment to moment, because it's going to change. It's going to be all sorts of different things. I'm looking at my notebook page, I'm looking at your current energy photo, and I'm asking myself, I'm feeling for a second, is there anything else? I'm proud of you. I'm so excited for you. I'm inspired by you. I believe in you. You've got it. You've been looking for it out there and you've had it inside of you all along. Looking deeply into yourself. It feels like you dive into your cervix and birth yourself. I'm sending you so much love, so much gratitude. Thank you, Holley. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Plumb Point intuitive photo reading. We invite you to come back again and again and listen to this recording from wherever you are, whatever mood you're in, whatever is going on in your life. When you listen at different times, when you're doing different things, when you're in different moods, you might hear something new. In fact, Holley says that when she listened to the reading again before having a conversation with Rosalee, that she heard something she completely missed in the first several listens. That is a common experience that people have when they receive a Plumb Point intuitive photo reading, that more gets revealed to them the more times they listen to it. And as time passes or you're in a different mood, you're just going to hear nuances that maybe washed over you the first time and you just didn't hear. So we encourage you to listen to this reading multiple times. Book a Plumb Point intuitive photo reading for yourself if you're interested in receiving a message from Rosalee where Rosalee is in communication with your energy and what messages and feelings come forward for you. There's a link in the description box of this episode that you can click on. It'll take you right to our website where you can find more information and click the link to book. If you want to be notified when the next episode of the Plumb Podcast drops, where you'll get to see and hear Holley sharing her experience with the reading, sign up for our email list. You can do that at the bottom of our website, or subscribe to YouTube or Spotify so that you're notified when the new episode is out. Tune in next week for a new episode of the Plumb Podcast, where you'll hear a new conversation unfold from a new starting point. The conversation will be different, but we will always express ourselves authentically, and we create the space for you to do the same.